1 year, yes, 1 year ago, Blake Lively had everything. She was in one of the biggest movies of 2024. Her public approval rating was 81%. People loved her. Studios wanted her. By every measure, she was one of the most likable actresses in Hollywood. Today, her approval rating is 10.6%. That is a 70-point drop in just 12 months. And in this video, you are going to find out why she is doing worse than you thought possible, because it is much worse than anything you have read in the headlines. Okay, so here is what is going on right now with Blake Lively, and there is a lot happening. We have Sony executives, not random gossip accounts, but actual Sony executives calling her a terrorist in writing. We have Taylor Swift's private texts being unsealed in court, and let's just say Taylor was not happy about it. We also have Ryan Reynolds mysteriously absent from the courthouse on one of the biggest days of his wife's legal battle. And we have a trial date, May 18th, 2026, where everything, every text message, every email, every deposition will become fully public. So, let's start from the beginning, because to really understand where things stand today, you need to know how we got here. Now, if you already know what is going on with the Blake Lively lawsuit, I would suggest you skip ahead. However, I would not recommend that, because the way I am about to explain this will clear all your doubts later in this video. So, back in March 2023, Blake Lively was cast in a movie called It Ends With Us. It is based on a best-selling novel about domestic violence. The director was Justin Baldoni, and he also played the love interest. At that time, Blake's public sentiment was at 81% positive. People genuinely liked her. In August 2024, the film was released. It made $347 million worldwide. That is huge. It should have launched an entire franchise. But while the movie was still in theaters, something strange was happening. Blake launched a hair care brand. She promoted cocktails. One of those cocktails was named after the abuser character in the film, the same domestic violence film she was starring in. People noticed. In December 2024, Blake filed a civil rights complaint against Justin Baldoni. She alleged sexual harassment on set and claimed that he hired crisis PR firms to run a smear campaign against her. In January 2025, Baldoni fired back with a $400 million countersuit against Blake, Ryan Reynolds, and her publicist. Then in June 2025, Judge Louis Lyman dismissed Baldoni's entire countersuit. His case was gone. Blake's case is still active and is going to trial on May 18th, 2026. That is the short version. Now let's get into what has actually been happening, starting with some emails that Sony probably wishes had never been made public. Sony executives went on record, and it is brutal. So on January 20th, 2026, the court unsealed a batch of internal Sony Pictures emails and text messages, and what was inside was not good. First, Andrea Giannetti, the executive vice president of production at Sony, in an internal message, she called Blake Lively a Fing terrorist. Why? Because before filming was finished, Blake gave the studio a 17-point list of demands and made it clear, meet the list or she walks. And at that point, the production had already spent $55 million, even though it was originally budgeted at $25 million. Then there is Sanford Panitch, Sony's president. He sent an internal message that said, and this is a direct quote, "She is done for, at least for a while. It's cooked." He also wrote epic-level stupid about Blake promoting her hair care brand during the release of a domestic violence film. Tom Rothman, the CEO of Sony, wrote that Blake did bring it all on herself by refusing to listen to advice and by promoting her products. That is the CEO of the studio, on the record. Then there is Tara Grant, head of Sony Communications, who wrote internally that Blake handled all this drama in a very unsavvy and amateur way. Now the 17-point ultimatum and what was on that list. So what exactly was on this 17-point list that had Sony calling her names behind their back? Some of the demands were specifically about Justin Baldoni. Blake's team wanted him banned from the red carpet until she had finished her press appearances. She did not want to be photographed with him. She did not want to be seated near him at events. And then there was the Instagram situation. The entire cast was made to unfollow Baldoni on Instagram. One Sony executive reacted internally after trying to figure out who was behind it, saying, "It's Blake, I'm sure." Now, about the hair care and cocktail situation during the film's release. In February 2026, a Sony executive confirmed on the record that the Grab Your Friends, Wear Your Florals marketing campaign, the one that got a lot of backlash for being tone deaf about a domestic violence story, was actually Sony's idea, not Blake's. But Blake ended up taking all of the public criticism for it.
Ends With Us is in theaters now, so grab your friends, wear your florals, and head out to see it.
Taylor Swift's texts. This was where things started to feel like something big was coming. Okay, now we get to Taylor Swift, and this is where it gets really interesting. Taylor Swift and Blake Lively were basically best friends. Blake's kids even have Taylor as their godmother. They were at each other's events all the time. By all appearances, they were completely ride or die. But when the legal documents started getting unsealed, some of their private text messages came out as well, and one of them went viral almost immediately. In December 2024, a few weeks before the lawsuit became public, Taylor sent Blake a text that said, "I think this knows something is coming because he's gotten out his tiny violin." She had attached a People magazine article where Baldoni was talking about being, quote, sexually traumatized by a past relationship. At that moment, the text looked like Taylor was supporting Blake like a loyal best friend. But here's what happened next. Those texts were unsealed and became fully public, and Taylor was furious. According to reports, she felt completely violated that her private messages were now out in the world for everyone to read. Then she was subpoenaed as part of the case. According to reports, she felt exploited and believed that her name and her friendship with Blake were being used in ways she never agreed to. In October 2025, Taylor released a track called Cancelled. Swifties immediately started connecting the dots. Most of them believe the song is about Blake, and based on the timeline, it's hard to argue against that idea. Ryan Reynolds, where was he? On February 11, 2026, both sides showed up at a Manhattan federal courthouse for a court-ordered settlement conference. 6 hours in separate rooms with a judge trying to get them to reach a deal. Justin Baldoni showed up with his wife Emily by his side. Blake Lively showed up alone. Ryan Reynolds was nowhere to be seen. No deal was reached. Baldoni's lawyer Brian Friedman released a statement saying they were unsuccessful and are looking forward to trial. Trial date confirmed May 18, 2026. Now, Ryan not showing up at the courthouse could have been a scheduling issue. Maybe he had something else to do. But here's what makes it harder to ignore. In August 2024, on Blake's birthday, Ryan didn't post anything about her. In August 2025, Blake's birthday again, and still nothing from Ryan. But during those same time periods, he was posting about Wrexham Football Club and his business partner Rob McElhenney. In October 2025, Ryan had a documentary premiere. Blake didn't attend. Ryan showed up with Blake's sisters instead of his wife. An insider told reporters that the energy between them has changed. Quote, F-bombs aren't playful anymore. It's turned nasty. They used to tease for fun, now it feels cruel. Blake has reportedly felt humiliated by Ryan's behavior in public. In February 2026, the couple was photographed kissing at a Wrexham football match, very public, very noticeable, which some people interpreted as a deliberate move to quiet the divorce rumors. The legal scoreboard right now. Okay, let's talk about where the legal side of this actually stands right now, because there are multiple cases happening at the same time and they are all connected. Blake's harassment claims against Baldoni include allegations that he inserted an unwanted sex scene into the film without her consent and asked invasive questions about her personal life on set. There's even on-set video that surfaced where Baldoni tells Blake she looks pretty hot and then jokes, "Sexy, sorry I missed the sexual harassment training." Blake is also claiming that Baldoni hired 2 crisis PR firms, Melissa Nathan and Jennifer Abel, to run a coordinated online smear campaign against her. She is seeking around $200 million in damages. Baldoni's side denies all of it. His legal team says his behavior on set was due to social awkwardness and impulsive speech linked to neurodivergence. In January 2025, Baldoni fired back with a $400 million countersuit against Blake, Ryan Reynolds, and their publicist Leslie Sloan. He alleged extortion and defamation.
Baldoni's lawsuit is 179 pages, so in case you don't have time to read through it all, I want to read you a direct quote from the complaint that essentially summarizes everything that Baldoni is alleging. He says, Lively wields immense power as one of the world's best-known celebrities. She set out to destroy plaintiffs' livelihoods and businesses if they did not bend to her incessant demands, and when they refused to give way, she did exactly that, accusing them of foul and reprehensible sexual misconduct. Now, I reached out to Baldoni's attorney, who tells me that they have copious amounts of text messages and emails and other evidence that they say proves that Baldoni did nothing wrong.
In June 2025, Judge Lyman dismissed Baldoni's entire countersuit. He then missed the October 2025 deadline to refile. That lawsuit is gone. Blake's lawsuit is still alive and heading to trial. On top of that, there's a separate related case involving publicists Stephanie Jones and Jennifer Akil. Judge Lyman recently ruled that the defamation and breach of good faith claims in that case will continue. This means Baldoni's team can now open fresh discovery in that case, and because many of the same people are involved, it could bring new questions, new documents, and new depositions, essentially getting a second look into what really happened. Someone is panicking. 1,000 exhibits and 40 witnesses. Now here's where things get really messy, and this is a detail a lot of people have missed. With the trial just weeks away, Blake's legal team submitted their list of trial exhibits to Baldoni's side just after midnight on a Friday. How many exhibits? Nearly 1,000. That's 1,000 exhibits just for Blake's side. Baldoni's attorneys pushed back hard, calling it a document dump. Legal analysts noted that a case scheduled for 2 to 3 weeks would almost never have that many exhibits. 1,000 exhibits is something you usually see in a massive class action lawsuit with dozens of plaintiffs, not a single case between 2 people. And here's the part that really raised eyebrows. At least 100 of those exhibits were social media posts. These posts were never shared during the discovery phase, so Baldoni's team was seeing them for the first time just weeks before the trial. On top of that, Blake's witness list included over 40 names. Legal experts said that with cross-examination, rebuttals, and normal court pacing, having 40 witnesses in a 2 to 3 week trial is basically impossible. Each witness could take an hour or more on the stand. The math simply doesn't add up. The jury instructions document is 85 pages long, covering 13 remaining claims. Baldoni's team filed for a 1-week extension just to get through all of it, and Judge Lyman granted the extension. Here's why legal analysts think this is happening. The judge has still not ruled on the summary judgment motions, the motions that could eliminate several of Blake's claims entirely before the trial even starts. Everyone has been waiting for that ruling since January 2026. Baldoni's team basically filed the extension request as a way of saying, "Judge, please make a ruling before we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars preparing for claims that might not even survive." There's a hearing set for April 2nd via Microsoft Teams, and the public can even call in. Most legal analysts following the case believe that's when we'll finally get clarity on where this is all headed. So 1 year, that's all it took. Now, I want to know what you think. Do you believe Blake Lively's career can recover from this, or is the damage done for good? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one. And if you want to stay up to date as this trial gets closer, because it's going to get wild, make sure you're subscribed. We'll cover every update as it drops. See you in the next one.